Hi, folks. This is Mountain Man coming to you from parts unknown. Ha ha. Good evening, everybody. Well, I guess you saw my thumbnail. Biden document dump. That's what I put in there. It's actually emails. Over 82,000 pages of emails. And a lot of you know that Judge Chutkin renewed her gag order on Mr. T today. So we're gonna talk about that. We're gonna talk about what's going on in Israel. We're gonna talk about how things are lining up with what we've already been told from various sources. And of course, I hope everybody's staying with believable sources, because one of our little programs, probably the biggest information uh, sharing system that we've ever had, has been pretty much disabled for quite some time because of counter information that harms us. But we're getting wise to that. I'll talk about that some more. But anyway, let's see who all's getting here. Hi, SM. How are you doing? Outlandish. How are you? Hi, Quilt. Hi, Kim. Nice to see you. Sherry, Linda, how you doing? I hope you all were able to jump over to Mountain Man Speaks on Bumble. And if I disappear, that's my refuge right now. Hi, Lone Wolf. How are you? Debbie, Sharon, Kickenberg, got my notification. That's good. Sassy Cat, Melinda, Damon. Hi, Nikki. How you doing? Yes, you just lay back and rest, Nikki. We get any troublemakers in here, we know what to do with them. Ha ha ha. So Henri gave me a thumbs up. Yes. Hi, Tracy. While you all thinking about it, just go ahead and dip out, give me a thumbs up, and dip back in. We'll wait for you. Hi, Debbie. So I'll get some good thumbs ups on this video that'll help it get around. So anyway, I'm going to watch Rudy Giuliani. He had a live stream earlier today. I was researching other stuff, but I'm curious about him. He's kind of taking the brunt of the Georgia case, right? That would be Big Fanny Willis. And he is completely unrattled. And as I said, he put forth a message on Truth Social about Sidney Powell that I talked about last night, and that you all, if you all didn't watch last night's program, you might want to check that out too. Hi, Roberto. I've got a lot of videos, and I feel they are relevant. And I'll tell you one thing about not going off on tangents that a lot of people do, and I think most of them are well-meaning, but they end up going down rabbit holes that turn out to be ridiculous or counter psyops. Then the video just. That's all videos I do are real and relevant. So if you want to go on a binge, a Mountain Man binge, you can just pick one out with an interesting title and listen to it. So hi, Sandy. Yeah, Nikki, pop an aspirin, sweetie, and rest your nerves. Get your Merlot. Have a nice glass of Merlot, and don't get in a hot tub. Oh my gosh, that Perry guy. I watched a video on him. It turned out that he he did have a terrible history of abuse. And I'm a little off topic, but I might as well talk about it. There weren't any drugs found on the scene, but I saw an interview he gave with one of the mainstream media creepy chicks. I can't remember who, but he did a book. He wrote a book, and he started the book out by saying, "Hi, my name is Maddie," or something like that, and you may know me as Maddie or whatever, and I should be dead right now. Really, something else. And it's a recent book that he wrote, and he disclosed in there that 4 years earlier he had been suffering so badly from addiction and the opioids he'd been taking for years and alcohol abuse that he was hospitalized for a ruptured colon, and he almost corked off. He spent 5 months in a hospital. I don't know how long in a coma. He's over the years, he's spent $6 million on rehabilitation. I wrote how many times he went over 60 times into detox. When he was filming the Friends show, he never watched it. He said, I couldn't watch it because I saw myself and it reminded me of the terrible times and what I put my body through. He said, I weighed 128 pounds during some of those shows. And yeah, half of his life was dealing with addiction. And, I have to say, God knows what else he's done. Hold on, I got a notification here. Lone Wolf bought me a coffee. Ha ha ha. Put a boom in there for me, Lone Wolf. I appreciate it. And I don't have special effects, but I appreciate it, Lone Wolf. And I appreciate Angel. Last night, if you have a question and you put it in with the coffee thing, I should be able to read it. One question was yesterday from Angel about Bibi Netanyahu. And I had addressed it in a video about, I called it a cold water op. A cold water op when Donald Trump went out of his way to say that Bibi Netanyahu did not participate in the operation against Soleimani. And that was done, in my mind, to protect Netanyahu from retribution if they thought he was involved. And I likened Soleimani, if you all will remember, I said he would be equal to 10,000 George Floyds in the Arab world, especially Iran. And oddly enough, and I am not kidding, just over a day after I said that, the report came out about George Floyd not passing away because of anything that officer did to him. But anyway, so hi, Ken, how you doing? So I hope that answers the question. Angela, I don't, I'll see if we got a lot of people coming in. So yeah, he didn't know that he had that in his system. Yeah. He said he started drinking at 14, hard liquor, and that got into opioids and whatever, cocaine, name it. And all through his career. And I think he was supposedly the last 48 months of his life sober after his going in a coma, and for 5 in a hospital for 5 months. So who knows? Who knows? But the other issues we talked about, what he got in his shoulder and everything like that, couldn't have helped him, in my opinion, and it's just my personal opinion. I am not any kind of professional by a long shot. And I was thinking, I went ahead and listened again to General Flynn, a short clip where he was talking. And with this revelation of these emails, that I'll read it to you, what Trump put out about 7:30 tonight. He put it out there. You couple what is coming out about, these were emails where Biden was using a pseudonym, and the National Archives had this information, apparently been hiding it, and they quietly let it slip out. Oh, okay. Wait, I'm just trying to see. I had another notification. But they didn't let it out quietly enough. But the terminology used by General Flynn was that the House of Representatives was totally broken, owned, and compromised. Totally owned, broken, and compromised. And that is our Congress. And General Flynn knows what he's talking about. And since most of us are on the same page with the notion that Trump is operating with some level of authority in some form, that's his words. We will be back in some form. You would have to believe that General Flynn has knowledge and is probably letting out information as he's instructed. I don't think he has everything, knows everything that's going to happen, but he does know that this is not going to be some situation where we wake up in the morning and there's tanks in the street and all this kind of stuff. I personally would love my my little dream world of, that the judge being escorted out of there, and hey, something like that may happen. We have to have respect for the offices, but like Trump was saying about Biden, he had respect for the office till he took it too far, till Biden took it too far. That's when he said, okay, the gloves are off. And I think that is where we're getting. We've already gotten there with the executive branch. Now we're getting there with the judicial branch, where Trump, he was showing deference. He's participating in these court hearings. He said he spent over $100 million in legal fees. Imagine that, folks. $100 million. Imagine if he were not an extraordinary businessman with extraordinary wealth. A Harry Truman type president, a Richard Nixon type president, even Ronald Reagan wouldn't have the wealth and resources to withstand this kind of lawfare. But we know that we're confident that this is being coordinated with our armed forces. And but he has to go through things that the average person or even the above average uh, presidential candidate could never withstand. Ted Cruz would have been swept away long ago. Anybody that anybody in the field, Republican field, even if a Democrat tried to buck the deep state, none of them would have had resources to withstand this. And remember what I was talking about yesterday about Billy Dale, whose life was almost completely ruined. And I'm sure, the strength he found that he never knew he had has a lot of value to him, namely his wife and his daughter supporting him to the very end in salvaging his reputation and willing to risk everything they owned. But the price they paid was he's out of government. He lost his life savings, went into years of debt. But he did gain. He did gain the knowledge that he had a strong, loving family. But if that Billy Dale person would try to continue the battle, he would have been destroyed. His family would have been destroyed. And frankly, as we know with the history of the Clintons, he's lucky he's still around. So, and that was 30 years ago. One person in a inauspicious position in the government that they decided to get rid of. That's how hard they hammered that guy. So with Trump, it's all assets deployed. They're thinking up every way to come after him. They could care less if it involves a world war. They could care less if the American people have to pay out of the nose for their groceries. As a matter of fact, we know that the Agenda 21 that we all heard Nancy talking about back in the 90s, I played the tape. It calls for the complete stripping of personal wealth and possessions, owning nothing and being happy and eating bugs and everything else that people used to think was a conspiracy theory is all being laid out in front of us. We don't need Anons anymore. We don't need the 17 letter except for reference because it's all being put out there. So these 80-some thousand pages of emails, we're going to be seeing stuff popping out over that. Let me see who I missed. Hi, Gloria. Pappy Two Bears. Redhausen, how you doing? Let's see. Hi, Annette. Okay, Richard, you're better today. That's good to hear. That's good to hear. Who have I missed? If I missed anybody, I apologize. Mary Freeland, how you doing? New Journey 3 and 4. Nice to see you here on UTizzle. Ha ha ha. So I do have a automatic upload to Rumble after the live stream, so they can still catch me on Bumble. So yes, let's see. I had some stuff from the prior broadcast that I didn't get to, just to get it off the plate, so to speak. You remember that substitute teacher that took a Nintendo Switch away from a kid? Quote, I'm doing air quotes. A quote, kid. Well, she was in the news a day before yesterday, I believe it was, because she does not want a light sentence for this 270-pound kid, 270-pound so-called child that assaulted her in the hallway of the school and hurt her very badly. And, hey, there's a lot more of things of that nature happening that are being talked about. And I'm glad she's standing her ground. I'm glad she's trying to put the screws to this man. And that will encourage, I'm hopeful, other teachers. We see these stray TikTok videos of a student hitting a teacher with a chair or something like that, but you don't see news stories about it. But maybe we'll start to see them. Oh, love to garden. All right, I see. Ha ha. Love to garden. Working on my bucket list. All right. New journey. So, okay, is that your Bumble handle too? I don't know. Hi, Sharon. So anyway, that's some good news there. And I tell you, I had screenshots of pretty much how things have been going. I have people put in the comments, and I appreciate it. But I have to realize, too, that a lot of listeners don't listen every night and don't really understand. Not that I'm a know-it-all, but I'll get messages that say, you ought to listen to Derek Johnson, and we've gone over him many times. And also, I've gone over the executive orders by Mr. T probably a year before Derek ever made it to any platform. So I appreciate it, though, and I'm not a know-it-all, but it did make me go back and get some screenshots and put together a timeline of what's been happening, because I'm firm in the belief that this stuff is going to be in the history books. Your start 58 on Rumble. Oh, okay. Thank you. You watch everyone. Thank you. So anyway, I will go over this timeline that I have, or do one other. But what everybody's talked about off and on is the Department of Defense Laws of War, the Laws of War Manual. And how I first started getting into these broadcasts was I was talking about when everybody got excited over 11.3, which was a year after Biden's election. And he was in the White House. And everybody, people like Michael Jaco and all these other types, I won't get into them, that I feel are sensational and don't connect what they're saying to reality. It's just a click thing, a fantastic thinking, and get people unduly riled up. And I went on some platforms to discuss the Geneva Conventions and the laws of war. And so I'm back then I was keeping an eye before I ever started doing videos on Trump's executive orders and what the laws of war were. I knew what they were from reading and knowing about the Civil War, World War I, World War II. And on and on. So anyway, the Department of Defense Law of War Manual was what we're referring to now was, and I think this is, it was in 2015, June of 2015. That's when it was codified. And I know for a fact that they were dealing with Trump. The military was dealing with Trump way before he announced his run for presidency. I think they were formulating something even before Obama got elected. But anyway, prior to that manual that was done in 2015, we relied on the Geneva Conventions, something called the Lieber Code of 1863, the Hague Conventions, the Nuremberg Trials, the law of war manuals from the United Kingdom, Canada, Germany, and Australia. All the things that I just mentioned were studied, and the best parts of that were taken out and codified in the 2015 Department of Defense manual that we all refer to. So with that in mind, we can go down through a history, if you will. And as far as public knowledge, where we can trace back when this plan, everybody says trust the plan. Well, this program, this operation, which if defending freedom is an operation, it's never ending. It's a never ending struggle. And but we see the fruits of it. The first thing is when this new Department of Defense Law of War Manual came out in 2015. 4 days later, after this thing was published, June 16th, 2015, Trump came down the escalator and made his announcement. 4 days after that manual was formally entered into. Then you had the continuity government, devaluation, devolution, and reconstitution. Prior to that, you had the Military Justice Act. These are all things kids are going to be taught in school, just the way we were taught how the Constitution was passed, how the Bill of Rights was passed, in that kind of a timeline. Because this is the story of the new republic we're going to be entering into. We're never going back to the old America. We can't. It only functioned because they didn't want to give up the game. It was too early for them to give up the game. But what they had done and what they put in place what we refer to as the old America we can never go back to that. So yeah, it's good to go over those things and to rely on them, especially when you hear Trump saying what he said, that a year is a long time and they can do a lot of damage during a year. And we can't let that happen. So, yeah, our question marks in our heads go up above our heads like, what does that mean? And at the same time, you have General Flynn saying, well, the military is not going to come in and do anything. Don't expect that. Well, something's going to happen. Something's going to pop off. Nikki showed me a picture of the debt clock that they had put up a quote from Abraham Lincoln talking about how our monetary system could turn us into slaves. And that may be recollect what I've discussed in the past. That Lincoln passed on the April 15th. That was the day they got him. They don't make it a day that people of remembrance. One of the greatest leaders in our nation's history. They turn it into tax filing day, April 15th, the same day. I don't think those things are coincidence. I think that that's where they rub it in our faces, what they're doing to us. They're like the communists in China admit they play the long game. They don't plan in weeks and months. They plan in decades and even centuries on how they're going to do things. And most of the people in the chats are familiar all the way back to the Act of 1871 forward of most events that are shaping our government and our laws in such a manner as to destroy our liberties in a permanent, irreversible manner. That's why Trump calls this the final battle. And why we have to take very seriously doing our part, which is to show up and vote, to share information that we are certain is accurate and responsible to share as much as we can. And hi, Karen, how are you doing? Hi, Gary. All right, you're on the road. Well, I'm doing a talkie, so you don't have to worry about taking your eyes off the road. Ha ha. That's the main thing. I got a video I'm going to play from Alaska, Gary, next time I do a picture show. A little short clip I think you'll find funny. But let me see. Alicia's here. Gary's here. Yeah. Henri, all kinds of byproducts in the meat. Well, I'm fortunate enough to have a grocery store where they butcher. They cut up the chicken, they grind the beef, they cut the steaks, all that kind of stuff. We got plenty of farms, and I feel very fortunate. I get only, I can't see myself buying meat at Walmart. I can't. They color it, they make it bright red. I don't need that. Hi, Christina. So anyway, back to this little march through history. um, just having a overall grasp of it where we can say, hey, this may not be the time for it, but at some point you could say, I know that the law of war manual was changed, redone, how it was redone. I've gone down the list of the different sources that they redid it, and 4 days later, Trump came down the escalator. That's just a fact of life. The executive orders, I've got them all written down, what they are and what they mean. The two biggest ones, refer to human rights abuses and foreign interference of elections. Very serious and stiff penalties. They're all passed by Donald Trump, and they're all being renewed by Joe Biden. Those are facts. And when I do a picture show, I might, put stuff up on the screen that you can get screenshots of that aren't littered with things that would make us seem like we're going overboard with stuff. But with Flynn saying that Congress, the House, was totally broken, owned, and compromised, with Trump saying a year is a long time and they can do a lot of damage, we can't let them do that. We've got to be mentally ready for something to happen. That doesn't mean to be scared. That doesn't mean to be the sky's falling chicken little. That doesn't mean for us to tell our friends that I played that one creator, I'm using air quotes, where he said they're going to be military and do all the super secret stuff that make us sound like crazy people. A sheriff could get involved, or multiple sheriffs. We haven't gotten answers as to what was happening to the governor of Arizona when she stepped down. Remember that? But I also found an article that the day before she had taken legal action against the Saudi government about some land the Saudis had in Arizona. And we know the Saudis are on our side, part of the alliance, what I'll call, for lack of a better term, the White Hat Alliance, or the White Turbans, if you want to say that. But there's a lot of things that just aren't coincidence that could pop off. The latest one, as far as in that area, is Colorado. They're making a move to take Trump off the ballot, and that's going to be going before a judge, citing the 14th Amendment. Well, wasn't that already put before a court? Wasn't that already put before an appeals court? And they were told, they can't do that? Yes. But so was lifting the gun ban in California. Doesn't matter. They violate court rulings, twisting the law, twisting the English language. They just say the same thing in a different way and violate our rights and continue to violate our rights. There's a case in California that's been going on since 2019 about the Second Amendment. And we've already had the Heller decision. What was all the decisions we had as far as gun control? Heller, McDonald, Catano, Bruin, all these decisions were taken all the way up to the Supreme Court that firearms that are in general use cannot be arbitrarily taken by the government. Well, here we've got another case in California that the Ninth Circuit has once again, in defiance of these 4 cases that I've already just read, that the Supreme Court has upheld, there's still the Ninth Circuit, the most liberal appeals court in the land. They're still going against the Supreme Court rulings. The judge that's the wino, not Chutkin, the Ad Gorin or whatever his name is, his appeals court told him to ditch this case against Trump, to leave Ivanka out of it, and they're just defying higher courts. So that can't continue. So this situation with Chutkin renewing the gag order on Trump, they're gonna try to put him in jail. Mike Pence dropped out of the race. He endorsed Trump. He's getting stronger. It's undeniable. All the polls are showing it. They're going to get desperate. And they're going to try to put him in jail. Well, I saw one YouTuber said, their title said, "This is ridiculous. The Supreme Court will intervene, and they're not going to do that to Trump." Well, the Supreme Court's already intervened with the Second Amendment in California, but for years, in the plural, they have defied Supreme Court rulings, and it's been a deprivation of the rights of the people of California to keep and bear arms. They don't care. So what happens? Well, the first post that Mr. T ever referred to was post 11. And I mentioned that post in a broadcast. Many of you were with me when I read that whole post, post number 11. And remember, this is the 6th year anniversary of the beginning of that operation, the information dissemination operation. That was in, I think it was October 20, I'm not sure the exact day, 24th or 27th was the first post. And it was the same time Donald Trump said, "The storm is coming." And the press said, "What storm?" And I played that clip before, and I will play it again. Trump says, "You'll find out." That all happened at the same time. And these are things kids are going to be learning about in the history books. Well, back to post 11, I read it. I said, this is an important post because it's telling us when the military, by constitutional what's already codified in the Constitution, what is a matter of law, when can the military take over civilian agencies such as the Federal Bureau of Investigation, the Central Intelligence Agency, the National Security Administration? When can MI, military intelligence, take over control of those branches. And I'm not kidding you, 2 days later, the first time he'd ever done it, Trump posted that exact same post that I read 2 days before on my live stream. Well, what is it? Well, I'll tell you what it is. Post 11. It's not long. It's not a long post. It says, what's the key? Military intelligence versus the three-letter agencies I just said. No approval or congressional oversight. Military intelligence, you don't need approval or congressional oversight. Like you gotta go to the Senate to get approved who's going to be heading up the FBI, who's going to be heading up the CIA, who's the CIA director. That all these positions have to be approved by Congress, not military intelligence. They're DOAs. DAOs, directly appointed officers. They're directly appointed by the president. They can't be grilled or scrutinized or meddled with by Congress. Okay? It goes on to say, state secrets upheld under Supreme Court. Who is the commander in chief of the military? Well, back then we used to say the President of the United States. But now we're saying, commander in chief would be Donald Trump, in my opinion. He doesn't have to be the president. Joe Biden is the president of the United States Incorporated, I'll put it that way, from 1871, which Clarence Thomas put in one of his opinions is a bankrupt entity. That does not make him commander in chief. Now, these things I'm saying are not craziness. That's not stuff I'm pulling out of the air. It's facts. Hi, Melvita. How are you doing? So 11 goes on to say, well, with the state secrets upheld under the Supreme Court, that speaks for itself. There's stuff going on that a very limited number of people, it includes congressmen, but that are, or senators, I mean, that have been thoroughly and very well vetted, but they have the right to keep state secrets. Under what article can the president impose military intelligence takeover investigations of the three-letter agencies? What conditions must present itself? Why is this so very important? That's the only post President Trump ever put out. What must present itself? Well, one of the things has to be just what General Flynn said, the House being totally broken, owned, and compromised. And he did add in there that many of the congressmen were involved with young people, if you know what I mean. And he knows exactly what he's talking about. He would not make public statements without receipts. And so taking this post 11 to its conclusion, who surrounds POTUS? They lost this very important power. The one area of the government not corrupt and directly serves POTUS. They're talking about the military. So we're getting close to something. Well, then we say, well, General Flynn said nobody's going to come save us. There isn't going to be a military coming in on white horses or whatever. Well, remember that many people in the military were deputized. Do you remember that? Thousands of them were deputized as U.S. Marshals. So there's different ways of doing things. We have police powers in different areas of the country. And one of the first building blocks of police powers in our republic is the sheriff. Then you have local police forces and you have U.S. Marshals. So what do you do if you're a sheriff, let's just say, for instance, and the judge can give you a writ or a subpoena to serve on somebody, or many different things that is a sheriff's function, eviction orders and sheriff's seizure, liens, stuff like that, arrest warrants that the sheriff office has to go enforce. What happens when a sheriff sees a judge doing something unquestionably illegal? What happens then? You can't do anything because he's a judge? So we may see, because the reason I'm bringing this up, I don't know if you all caught it, but in Trump's last address, his speech that he gave, he was talking about his mugshot. Did you all catch it when he said, the sheriff asked me, are you ready? And he said, a very good sheriff, by the way. And he complimented the sheriff in Georgia that took his mugshot. So I think he dropped a little crumb there. And he said, when it came time to deport the real bad ones, the criminals, and I won't use all the names he called them, he said, local law enforcement knows who they are by name. I know they know. So there, in my mind, there's coordination between local law enforcement, i.e. the sheriffs and police departments, state troopers, and the military, because they're all sworn officers. So it's going to be interesting, and things are going to happen, but we have to be realistic in our expectations. And confident that what is going to happen is going to be done in a lawful manner, and in a way where we can hold our heads high in the eyes of history. This is not going to be something like what happened in Liberia, where one military junta overthrows another military junta, and a clown show. This is going to be a dead to rights enforcement and protection of the Constitution and the civilians and the citizens of this country. It's going to be done in a way that it'll be a story we'll be proud to tell. So when things go down, uh, it could be in phases. It could be one state, could be Arizona. I mean, all of our antennas were up when we heard that business of what's her face stepping down for 24 hours. What was going on then? So I don't know. We're just going to have to keep our minds right. But something is going to happen. Something's going to pop off. I don't think that little thing with the debt clock having that picture of Abraham Lincoln on there was an accident. I think it's telling us something. I mean, when you have Abraham Lincoln quoting that our monetary system is going to end up enslaving us, I think that's a fair declaration that our Constitution is being violated, that we're being enslaved. And then you had this article came out by something called Fact Checked. Came out about 3 weeks ago. WEF caught orchestrating border crisis from military bases in Panama. So that was a story that's percolating and hasn't been disputed. I watched a video today and I took a screenshot of it where they're interviewing people sitting along the border fence. They're from Senegal. They're from African nations, the Middle East, of course, deep in Latin America, but they all have predetermined cities that they're going to. Some are going to New York, some are going to Pennsylvania, some are going to Colorado, but they know when they get to the border where they're assigned to go. So I got a screenshot of that. When I do a picture show, I'll play it. Let me just go through the chats here. By the way, this is a viewer supported and creator supported channel only. And I appreciate Lone Wolf for helping sponsor tonight's program. I'm going to buy me a coffee. I have a link in the description if anybody wants to help the channel out. I do appreciate it. And here's my list. I've got to add a couple of people to the list, but I've got to add Jax and Julie and Angela. But I got Gary, Aaron, Robin. Oh, Jax is on there. Kirsten, Lone Wolf's on there. She helped out tonight. You see everybody there. Hilarious. Happy Two Bears. David. So I'll leave it up there for y'all to look at. But anyway, we've got, thank you, Nikki, for putting that in there. Richard said Ulysses S. Grant sold us into slavery. I don't think he even knew what he was getting into, that act of 1871. He was a soldier, not a politician, not a James Madison level thinker, certainly not a Thomas Jefferson level thinker. We had debt from the war that Lincoln was going to institute a policy of printing currency that would have been quite different than the situation we got ourselves in the Act of 1871, where they actually changed the verbiage of the heading of the Constitution to turn us into a corporate entity. I think that was just a little bit above Grant's head. He went from a soldier to Mr. President. Lincoln had an astounding intellect. I mean, if you read some autobiographies of his, you read about William Bennett's book, the America, The Last Best Hope, the series, a 3-book series he wrote, and some of the stories about Lincoln and the amazing logic that he possessed. He puts this cell phone upbringing that so many kids have had. He was by candlelight and reading some law books and the Bible. And his intellect was galactic compared to what kind of education our kids are getting out of these little cell phones we carry around. All that stuff is being metered out. Stories are being changed. History is being changed. Let's see, this is in Missouri. GOP Attorney General hopeful the Supreme Court will block Biden administration from, quote, the worst First Amendment breaches in history. And how that ties into what I'm saying is that GOOGLE and these platforms are all being coordinated. Our messages are being suppressed. Information is being changed, withheld, or erased, and it's all tied together. And this case that's happening in Missouri is going to prohibit administration from getting a hold of places like Twitter and Facebook and forcing issues that, messing around with the elections. We got a Representative Banks. He's in the news. A new Merchant Marine Academy transgender policy that allows midshipmen to undergo gender transitions and get exemptions from military service requirements is under fire by House Republicans. See, there's things we don't even know are happening. The Merchant Marines. I had a very, very good friend of mine who was in the Merchant Marines during World War II. And they're wheedling their way into every facet where we're ended up paying for these kinds of surgeries. And apparently they've already passed this stuff where they get exempt from military duty, but they're supposed to be part of some military operations. I don't know. It's bizarre. But since I had been talking about postings and where we're at now, I brought up number 11. That came out October 29th, 2017. What a lot of people are focusing on is the next one is post number 29. Now, this post is touchy because it's one of the very few posts that mentions things that the black hats, okay, take advantage of and explode out there to people to talk about stuff that get us out of focus, okay? You'll see what I mean in a minute. I'll read it to you. Because these things are happening and have happened, but it is not the whole point of this information operation. It is maybe 3 or 4% of the posts mentioned the terrible things they do with young ones, okay, the rituals that they have, things like that, right? We know all that stuff's going on. But it says this was October 29th. The key, well, no, I'm sorry, it's the wrong one. November 1st was post number 29. I got that messed up. Post number 29 was November 1st. Some things must remain classified to the very end. North Korea is not being run by Kim. He is an actor in the play. Who is the director? The truth would sound so outrageous, most Americans would riot, revolt, reject, etc. Right, that's the first part of the post. We know that Kim is an actor. A lot of us feel that North Korea was created as the stronghold for the C.I.A. And Kennedy knew that. So here's the part that gets a little sticky. The P3DO networks are being dismantled. The young people abductions for certain rituals, i.e., Haiti and other third world countries, are paused, not terminated until players are in custody. Well, that leads me back to the Horowitz report, the Inspector General report that talked about the Clinton Foundation, specifically tying together the Clinton Foundation, Haiti, and crimes against children, crimes against humanity. That's coming, that's close, and I think that's why General Flynn brought up what he did about Congress being totally compromised. I think we're getting really close. The post ends by saying, we pray every single day for God's guidance and direction as we are truly up against pure evil. So look for something to happen or be disclosed that is going to outrage and shock a lot of people, where they'll be more accepting of some manner of action being taken prior to the election to protect our country and protect our world from irreversible damage. There's nothing for us to hide under the bed about or beat our chests or live in fear. We know that things are known, and we're being told every week, if not every day, by Mr. T that there'll be an intervention when it's needed, and it'll be done in a constitutional manner. So I think we're getting close to that. Halloween, I don't know what that's going to bring. I don't know about what we were told by Devin Nunes, that within the 60-day period, which is going to be up very soon, something would happen, be disclosed. I don't know about, I think it was Greg Jarrett, it might have been somebody else that said video was going to come out by Halloween, between now and Halloween, about Biden, that he may not, his administration may not survive. All those things were still on the table, of course. So, hey, we had strong signals. They're going to do whatever it takes include trying to arrest or actually arrest Donald Trump. That's one thing that's in the cards. They're going to instigate a expanded conflict in the Middle East. They're going to get Iran involved. Remember that Trump said a week ago, no, I'm sorry, 2 weeks ago, that Iran was 3 months away from getting an atomic weapon, and that could not be permitted. What are they going to do to stop it if it can't be permitted? We're looking at 2.5 months. The only thing they could do is what the Israelis did, 10 or 12 years ago, or more. They went and took out a nuclear reactor. What is going to happen then? The current leaders of Iran have said that they will wipe Israel off the face of the earth, off the map. So what would they do if they did have that capability? They would use it. So no, they cannot be permitted to have that capability. So something is going to happen to stop their program. Let's see. Richard says there's going to be a commercial break. I don't know. Well, we may be another half a year. We may be, I don't know. Ned says 11th hour's here. Nikki said, I'm looking for the credits to roll. Gary said the Joint Chief of Staff that took over Mark Milley's position as joint. Oh, his last name is the letter. I see. That's interesting. Well, it may have been nothing, but I tell you, I didn't see a reason why Trump said, well, they took me in and they were going to take my mugshot. And they said, sir, are you ready, sir? And the sheriff asked me if I was ready for the picture to be taken. And he's a good sheriff, by the way. I said, boy, I'd like to see that sheriff protect and defend, okay, from all enemies, foreign and domestic. That would be wonderful. Fanny. And, I don't know what the story is with the judge in Georgia. I don't know. He's not been put in the spotlight. That's another thing to keep in mind. That judge, we watched him when I played that video of Sidney Powell pleading to that really sweetheart deal, just got them out of the nightmare of legal fees, life-destroying situations. And that's exactly what that was. That wasn't anybody breaking or flipping or doing anything but a common sense move to stop the damage, like what happened to Billy Dale. But anyway, that judge, I didn't see any problem with him. I didn't get any bad vibes off that judge. And he has not been mentioned by anybody that I'm aware of. Trump's never mentioned him, alluded to him, but he's alluded to all the others. Chutkin, Judge Mascara, the greaseball in Florida, the wino doing the civil fraud case, all of them he's mentioned, except for the one in Georgia. So that's going to be very interesting. I just, maybe I make too much of it, but I look at little clues like that, where he complimented the sheriff and he hasn't said anything bad about the judge. And I think Fannie's digging her own hole. And how he also said he got the same attorney that the rap star used, that Fannie had a relationship with that rap star. I thought that was funny too. So things may pop off in a comical manner, you know. At least one, I think it's going to be phases. I think these cases against Trump are going to collapse, maybe not like dominoes, but they're going to be their own stories. Well, Nikki said, I'm concerned the normies will fall for anything they put out on the MSM. Well, you know, the thing there is, too, we have to see. I think we've been eased into, like with Trump showing up on Face the Nation, Trump having his own town hall, Trump doing interviews with other news agencies, where he was not abused. He was allowed to pretty much lay his case out. And I said that 60 Minutes owes Donald Trump. And we'll see what comes out of that. So the mainstream media may be getting eased into the Truth and Reconciliation Act. We'll see. All right, folks. CQ is the old SOS call. Interesting tidbit says. CQ. See, Gary said CQ too. I'll have to check that out. All right, folks. Well, I appreciate you all spending your precious time with me, and we'll see what happens. This 82,000 pages of emails about Biden got announced tonight by Trump at 7:30 Washington time. So we'll see what kind of stories come out about that tomorrow. We'll see what happens tomorrow. Trump came right out of the gate about that gag order and about how crazy all this stuff and illegal these actions being taken against him are. Let's see which way it goes. And I'll be talking to you soon. So you all have a great night. Be not afraid. I'll be talking to you soon. This is Mountain Man, over and out.